It is such a rainy day outside, you guys. Like, you can't even believe it, but it's like 8 o'clock in the morning, and it is so cloudy and so gray outside, and I've had to turn the light on in the living room because ideally, what I wanted to do was, I mean, I know there's like a huge pillow here right now, so I should probably move it like to the other side of the couch. But yesterday, what I had done was I had set up like a whole kind of reading station over here, and I have my book and I have all of my annotation supplies, and there's room on that little teak table for some coffee if I want it. But as I was about to sit down and read today, we noticed this huge truck outside. And why that is especially fun is because they are doing roof work next door. So I don't know how conducive that is going to be to my reading schedule for today. But I did want to talk to you guys a little bit about where I am in Rabbits and how I feel about the book so far. So, of course, I am trying to read this book, and we're sitting here on the floor in my living room, and I'm sorry about the light in the back, but I'm going to get this lighting thing sort of sorted at some point. It's not going to be today because I just wanted to have like a little bit of a catch up with you guys about this book and about the annotation process. Now, last time I left off with you guys, we had discussed that I am pretty new to annotation. Well, new to annotating in books that I read for pleasure, not necessarily books that I have read in the past, because as you may or may not remember, I do have a degree in English literature, and I have annotated quite a few books in the past. So this book here is my first sort of exercise in annotating, and I just want to show you that I am not quite halfway through the novel already. I do have a little bit of a key set up here, and what I did, I don't know if you guys can see, but like I put all the tabs, like all the colors. So if I had the annotation tab sheet, I just took it off. Whatever color I was going to use, I took it just right off of the plastic and stuck it in the book. And the reason that I did that is because I had wanted to match the tabs kind of with the cover of the book. And what happened was, in order to do that, I had to pick colors that went across a few of the different tabs. So rather than sorting through, I found myself like wasting a lot of time sorting through the tabs to find the colors that I had previously selected. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to take off the whole stack of notes, the whole stack of tabs. I'm going to put them in the book, and then I'll just run back to my guide page and pull them off as I'm looking for places to stick them in the books. And then at the end, whatever tabs are not used, I will simply remove and then put back on the plastic for use at a later time. So I hope that that makes sense to you all. So how do I feel about the annotation process? Well, so far, so good. I don't know if I am necessarily feeling closer to the text or not, but I certainly do pick up on certain things, and I try and write down when something is said that elicits an emotion in me or something along these lines. Like, I'll read you what my categories are right now. So right now I have a tab for, I don't know how well you can see that, but I have one for imagery, nostalgia, heart pumping, neurodiversity, strange, mysterious, and important. These were just kind of things that I figured out as I was going along. As you can see, I have found instances of all of that in the text already. And, you know, my annotation process is not like, well, you know me, right? Because I'm always concerned if I'm doing things correctly or not. But that's pretty much, you know, I had like here, is a part in the book where the main character kind of spaces out, and it kind of reminds me of having gone through a similar situation in my childhood where I had spaced out at one point and almost got hit by a car, which is something that, you know, the character does reflect in this book. But like I said, I'm only about a little more than a quarter of the way through the book. and not quite at the halfway point yet. And I find that it's really like kind of splicey. And I don't know if that's a device that the author is using to kind of bring you more into the book. Like, this is actually based on a podcast that has been going around since about 2017, if I'm not mistaken. And I was unfamiliar with the podcast. I still haven't listened to the podcast. I don't know anything about this world of rabbits. As I said in my last video, what happened was I had been out of the book reading community for something like 8 or 9 years because, divorce and life and getting set up and, whatever. So anyway, I haven't read a book in like close to a decade, which I know is going to, probably shock a lot of you. But yeah, that's sort of where I have been in my book reading journey. And basically, when I walked into the bookstore and I saw this book, I was like super excited to find something that I thought was interesting. Now, I don't not think it's interesting, but I'm not really sure where the plot is going. I think my initial reaction is that it's trying too hard, and it's trying too hard to be something mysterious, and it's trying too hard to be enthralling, and it's just not doing a good job so far of holding my interest. Like, I really feel like I have to go back to this book intentionally to kind of get into the story. And it's not because I feel like the main character so far is like trying to accomplish something, but there's a lot of like, I don't know, it's hard to explain. There's like a lot of little events and I just can't see how they are connected. Like, there's not enough. It's almost like it's trying to be a slow burn, but it's kind of like when I was watching Lost and I had to give up on this series like 3 or 4 episodes into the second season, or at some point when they were talking about all those numbers and that series of numbers that, and in the show, and I was like, I can't see where this show is going. So like sometimes when I'm watching a TV show or reading a book, if the author takes too long to get where they're going, I will lose interest. I will lose interest. And I'm worried that may be happening now. So for now, I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to read a little bit more, and I will check back with you guys again a little bit later when I've done like a little more research into it, and hopefully when I have some better lighting, and I will let you guys know how I feel about it, because I am enjoying the read. I think like I really wanted it to be so much better than it is right now. So yeah. Right, so I just wanted to get online and show you a mini book haul. As you guys know, I had picked up Remarkably Bright Creatures. I had to take Addison somewhere earlier today to get like an ID photo card done. And basically I thought what I would do would be to take this book with me and start reading it while I was on my way downtown to sort of help pass the time a little bit better. But as it turns out, I started it this morning and I really, really felt like I wanted to annotate it. And that's because it literally had me crying on the second page, which I will get into more in another vlog, not in this vlog, but basically this book is fantastic. I'm going to tell you exactly where is my bookmark. I am only on page 35 and I have cried. I have laughed. This book is fantastic. It's definitely worth the hype that everybody has been giving it. So I'm really glad that I picked it up when I went to the bookstore the other day, because it's definitely something that I was not in the market for, certainly not privy to. And I just picked it up because I like the cover, it caught my attention, and the rest is pretty much history. So I'm pretty sure that I am going to plow through this book. I haven't finished Rabbits yet, but I'm probably going to put this one like ahead of that one to finish sooner. As we were waiting in line for the photo center to open up, they had a little like magazine stand / convenience store thing sort of across the hall, kind of like one of those airport stores where you could buy convenience items, and they had like a little book section in there. And I found 2 books basically, like I couldn't stop myself from buying. So as I was listening to some booktubers this morning, they had suggested a book by Frida McFadden called The Housemaid something or other. It was the second installment in the series. And I went on to Goodreads because I thought that it sounded like an interesting book. And then ended up finding out that it was the second book in the series. There was a first book, and I said, okay, I put it on my want to read list and moved on in the video to something else. And then as I was waiting in line or perusing the little book section in that convenience store that I went to, the book was like sitting there. The first book in the series was sitting right there in front of my face. It was the last copy. It was meant to be. I picked it up, and it cost me $16.99. I paid $16.99 Canadian. The cover price says $12.99 US on it, so $16.99 Canadian. And because it was under $20, which really, who can find a book for under $20 that's like trade paperback size lately? Literally nothing. No one can find that if it's new. So because it was under $20, I picked it up. The other book that I picked up at that same place was this one here called The Terminal List. Now, I believe, well, it actually says right here that it is a series on Amazon Prime Video starring Chris Pratt, who I love from Parks and Recreation. I heart Andy. And if you like Andy, send me hearts in the comments below. And it does say that it's a thriller, okay? I'm not familiar with Jack Carr as a writer, and I'm not sure if this is like a series or what have you, but I think it's a standalone novel. Certainly they seems that way when you read the back of it. I'm unfamiliar with both the novel and the author, but it looked good. It was $8.99 in the bargain books that they had. And because it was trade paperback and I could annotate it if I wanted to, then I figured I would pick it up. But I'm actually looking for a book at this point that I will not want to annotate. I'm looking for a book that I'm just going to be able to read while I'm waiting in a waiting room or when I don't have annotation supplies. So I was thinking that this book could serve that purpose. I am also still reading The Princess Bride. I'm not annotating that one, but that's kind of like my cozy little bedtime routine story that I'm going to. So right now I've got 1, 2, 3 books in rotation, so I probably shouldn't start another one, but I was thinking that this book here would be the book that I would go to when I'm traveling around and I'm not going to be annotating. The other thing I wanted to mention about this is I wanted to talk a bit about thrillers. Now, I had been listening to Audible. I don't know if you guys have an Audible subscription or not, but I had some credits and I thought I would try The Ritual Bath by Faye Kellerman. And I know that that book's been around since the 80s. I'm not exactly sure which year. I'll put it across the screen for you, but I know that it sort of sparked a series of books that, you know, with Peter Decker and Rena Lazarus, and they are the two main characters of the story, and it goes on for multiple books in the series. And frankly, I really wanted to like it. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. I felt like it was very shallowly written. It didn't really get into too much of the characters. And I don't know. I don't know if it's because it's supposed to be like mystery thriller or whatever, but I just didn't like it at all. I actually DNF'd it. I DNF'd it, and I have 3 hours left on the audio recording. I spent the credit on it because I figure Faye Kellerman, this series is absolutely iconic. People have been talking about it for 30 years. I'm going to get into it, and I'm going to like it. And I wanted to like it, and I don't like it at all. So I DNF'd it. It's unfinished. I had 3 hours left in it. I think the reason is I just, I don't care what happens. I didn't care about the characters. I didn't care about the storyline. I didn't care very much for the writing. I get that Kellerman wants us to understand that Rena is really beautiful and Decker is super into her, but I just don't feel like it was a compelling enough relationship or character arc or anything like that to make me want to stick with the novel. And I have noticed about myself over pretty much the course of my lifetime, the books that I appreciate the most are the ones that are essentially character driven and not necessarily plot driven. So when too many events happen without really knowing much about the character, sorry if you guys hear that screeching, it's my cat trying to get into the house. And like no one is around to let him in. So I'm going to go do that. All right, he is back. But basically, yeah, I really, really wanted to like the Decker Lazarus novels by Faye Kellerman. Couldn't get into them. really disappointing read. I mean, I listened to it on Audible. It really wasn't a read per se, but it was a disappointing story for me. So the reason that I bring that up is because when I looked at this book here, basically it's because I'm looking for a good thriller. I'm looking for something that's going to capture my attention and make me care about what's going on in the novel. And whenever I have tried to read mysteries and thrillers and things like that, I just don't like. I've tried the Kathy Reach novels, the ones that the Bones television series is based on, and with Temperance Brennan, and I can't get into them. It's like I don't know. If you guys have any good recommendations for mystery, thriller, suspense, please let me know what they are down in the comments, because for me, it's a real struggle to find a book that is actually going to grip my attention. I have read something like 20 years ago. I did pick up the Da Vinci Code, but that was 20 years ago me. It was also like 22-year-old me at that time. So I did enjoy the Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons, but then I think I lost interest in the series after that, because like my attention span, to keep it, you have to have extremely compelling writing. So I tend to jettison a lot of books really quickly when I get bored. And I can get bored of series like pretty seriously, like pretty quickly. So I decided that because this book was basically on special, I would try it since it's supposed to be a thriller, and I'm really, really hoping that it's going to keep my attention. So I will let you guys know about that as it happens. But for now, I just wanted to show you guys my mini little book haul. And also to let you know, I started Remarkably Bright Creatures, loving it, feeling all the feels. I'm definitely getting into the characters. It is from page one. It is from page one. Now, I haven't finished this. Again, I'm only 35 pages in at this point, but I do recommend. I do recommend, because I have been laughing. I have been crying. I'm actually hugging the book right now, kind of like subconsciously. That was subconscious, but I'm hugging the book right now because like it's so precious to me. So that's kind of like what I want to feel from all the other books. The other thing I wanted to sort of officially / unofficially mention is that I really think that this channel is going to take a big change, and we're going to be talking about books pretty much now going forward. The reason for that is because I don't enjoy producing the videos, order packaging, and small business related and vlogs and things like that. I don't enjoy it. And I really feel like I want to take this channel to a place where I feel like it can grow and where things are sustainable. So while I realize that a lot of you have come here for the small business aspect of things, I'm not sure what I'm doing with my business and where I'm going with my thing, with all these like videos and stuff, and I'm just not happy. So I would like to talk about things that I'm happy and excited to talk about. And I don't really have anyone to talk about the books that I love and like with. So I'm hoping that that can be you. I realize that I may lose some of you, and I'm sorry about that. And I hope that you will stick around with me on my book journey. But yeah, this channel is going to be going through an overhaul, like a major change, and we may not be filming in the office anymore, because I find that there's kind of like a weird juxtaposition between the fabric and the books, and I just don't want to have like a book talk, like talk, not book talk like TikTok, but like I don't want to have book discussions with fabric in the background. So I feel like it's going to be my messy sofa. This is just like a quilt from now on, or we may, try and find like a different background. But right now, I don't have a big, beautiful, aesthetic bookcase to show you guys behind me. So we'll have to figure out like a different background, how we're going to chit chat and all that. And yeah, so that's pretty much going to bring us to the end of today's vlog. I want to thank everybody who has stuck around until the end of the video. You know that if you stay here until the end, you're absolutely my favorite. Please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of content. I really want to thank all of you that are going to stay with me through the rest of this journey and see where this channel goes. And hopefully, eventually, when I get into my groove, I'll be a little more comfortable on camera, because believe it or not, I've been doing YouTube for like over a year, and I still kind of get antsy that people are listening to me record that are here in my house and things like that. So I'm still shy. I'm still a little camera shy, and I hope that that doesn't affect too much of the content. But yeah, these are the books. These are the books that I have right now. And I'm going to be doing another video at some point. We'll be talking about all the books that I read in October, and we're just going to go on this journey. And I hope that you stick with me on this journey. And if you have any good suggestions for mysteries or thrillers, please leave those down in the comments. Stuff that will really get my heart pumping, get me caring about it. I would love to hear from you guys. And thank you. And I'll see you again soon. Ciao for now.